What's up, everybody? I think we're live here, Nathan. Thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah. Thanks for this idea. It was a good one. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, totally. So, guys, this is my buddy Nathan. Nathan, do you want to just tell everybody really quickly, like, what makes you so freaking brilliant and what are you up to these days?
I'm a longtime entrepreneur. I think my claim to fame is building an eight-figure business and selling it, and doing that with no office, no U.S. employees, all virtual assistants in the Philippines. We had thousands of freelancers on the platform from all over the world, but my internal team was 30 people in the Philippines. We spent zero money on ads, so we did it all organically, again with virtual assistants. And now I run four different businesses, and yeah, I run them 99% virtual assistants. So that's kind of my thing.
Amazing. I freaking love that. And we decided it would be an awesome topic to share with everybody a little bit around like scaling to exit. Because it's one thing to scale a business, it's one thing to scale a business through VAs, but it's another thing to scale a business through VAs that can successfully, you can step away from it and it actually becomes an asset.
Yeah, I like to make all my businesses so they're sellable from day one. That doesn't mean that I
Yeah.
want to sell them. I mean, I didn't want to sell free up back in 2019. The offer, I didn't like wake up one day early in the year and say, hey, we're going to sell this by the end of the year. One of our clients reached out to us. And even now with our portfolio companies, we plan on holding on to them forever. Obviously, you never know what kind of offer or who will pop up, and you want to listen to anything, but you want to build them to be sellable. And building them to be sellable also builds them to be scalable, as you know. So we can kind of dive
Yeah,
into that.
dude. I think that that's the key, right? If there was one thing for people to take away, it's like you might as well because the business that scales the best, the business that gives you the most freedom, the business that gives you the most profit is also the business that's going to ultimately be the most sellable. Like no investor wants to buy a 9 to 5 job. No investor wants to buy an 80-hour work week. So if that's your relationship with your company, it's not actually a sellable asset. And the same things that get you out of that are going to be the same things that ultimately make it valuable.
Yeah, and there are things that buyers look for. I mean, they love reoccurring revenue. They love strong teams. Like you said, they want the owner to be out of fulfillment.
Yep.
And there's certain things that are kind of bonuses. Like if you have your own IP or your own software, or there's some kind of moat where it's hard for competitors to get in the space. But as a business, what you need to focus on is strong teams, strong SOPs, strong finances, clean books every single month, and diverse marketing channels. You don't want all your clients coming from Facebook ads, and the new
Right.
owner might not be as good at you, and that's not going to work. Or
Right.
if you keep the business and Facebook changes something and
Yeah.
all your leads are coming from one place. So that's kind of what I look for when I create any business.
Yeah, I love that. So like what changes for you from day one? Like as you're scaling, as you're growing, what are you focused on that maybe you wouldn't have been otherwise if that kind of dream sellable business wasn't the outcome?
Yeah, and it's funny, the free up years, like year one and two, I hustled. I was working 80 hours a
Mm,
week. I went to every conference, I went on every podcast. And by year four, we had kind of changed things and made it so I was out of fulfillment and it
yeah.
wasn't as crazy. And now I won't start any business unless I have an operator to run it from day one.
Guys, I
Like
didn't
my
pay him to say that, I promise.
like my bookkeeping business is a great example, only because I'm not a bookkeeper. So if
Yeah,
I wanted to start a bookkeeping business, I had to hire a controller to run it, or else there's no business. So
right.
operator from day one, bookkeeper from day one. I want clean books from day one, and then your leadership team around the operator, how you support them, and your SOPs that go with it. Those are kind of the things that I focus on. To start any business, and I won't start a business without a bookkeeper. I won't start a business without an operator.
Yeah.
Those things are incredibly important to me.
Yeah. Dude, I think this is why we vibe because so many people, when they're thinking about operations, they go straight to process, right? You need SOPs, you need these things documented, XYZ, yada, yada. But you and I both agree that like process is actually the second step. The first step is people. And if you get the right people in the roles, then your people will create your processes. You're still going to get the processes. The difference is that your people are going to build them. You're not even going to have to. And if you get the people right, so much else can happen and it can happen faster.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the key, and the expert hack is put the operators in charge of creating the SOPs. Like I'll build
Hey,
SOPs on the strategy and the hiring and stuff like that, and a lot of those we take from business to business, and it's the same
sure.
thing. But
Yeah.
bookkeeping again. I'm not trying to build bookkeeping SOPs. I want my operators, I want my team leaders, I want my best bookkeepers. They should be building the bookkeeping SOPs, and that's how we did it at FreeUp too. I put the customer service team leader in charge of all the customer service SOPs, and every quarter it was their job to go through the SOPs again and update them. And when we went to sell the company, we had all these SOPs that had been updated every quarter for 4 years that we could just turn over to the buyer.
Right? As opposed to if you go the opposite way, cool, I'm going to build process first. Process is my job. I'm going to build it. Well, now it's your job every quarter to go through and update SOPs. Let's be honest, you're probably not going to do that or you're not going to do it super well. And so when the time comes, you actually just end up with this giant library of pretty much out of date SOPs that people aren't really using. That's not value add. And it took you a ton of time to create something that's not value add.
Yeah, and don't overthink it. Well, one of my failed businesses was actually an SOP building software, and
Amazing.
the reason it failed is it's just no market for it. Like you don't need it.
Mm,
There's Google Docs, Loom. I don't know
right.
how the Tranuals of the world do well. I know a lot of people use them, but for me, it's keep it simple. Keep everything on Google Docs organized. You don't need to go crazy. You can always make them crazier down the line, but starting simple is the best way to really build good SOPs.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. So, people first, keep it simple. Any other major best practices that you've learned in the process of scaling and selling businesses?
You want to just keep your team or treat your team really well. We
Mm,
want to give raises, give bonuses. When you hire an A player, you want to keep them around for years to come. Turnover crushes small businesses,
yeah.
and that's something that you just have to figure out how to avoid. And if you're someone that's getting a lot of turnover, you got to figure that out. That's priority number one to dive into your hiring process and figure out how you could improve it. And I mean, when we sold the company, we wanted to reward our team too. We took $500,000 from the sale. We gave it to our team in the Philippines. When you win with people, you want to
Yeah.
reward them for helping you get to that spot. And even if you don't sell your business, if your company's doing really well, you need some of that to flow down. You want people to feel respected. You want them to stick around. And also
Yeah.
keep in mind, you can't compete with other businesses on money. There's always going to be another company that can pay your people more than you can. So you got to figure out what you can do around the money to also make it
Mm,
a great place for them to work.
I love that. What do you do around the money to make it a great place to work?
So we find people that have an entrepreneur spirit. They love
Mm,
building, they love growing, they love feeling a part of something, and we give them
yeah.
ownership of it.
Yeah.
We don't micromanage. We're there to help them. We're there to support them, but they get ownership of every part of that system, of that process. We show appreciation a lot. We get to know them on a personal level,
Yeah.
their family, stuff like that. I'm the godfather of one of my VA's kids. Like you don't have to go that crazy, but
Oh
you
my
should
god,
get to
dude.
know people personally.
Yeah.
And you want to create a family inside your team. We actually call it the BARF method, which is a funny acronym, but it's getting them to buy in, show appreciation, build a relationship, and create a family within your team.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Like what you just said is so true. We're in competition for talent against every other business out there that could potentially hire somebody away. And I heard this crazy stat, which is that at any given point in time, 65% of the people on any given company are actively looking for another job. Right? 65% of your team are just like they're just looking. It's just like they got, LinkedIn job market pulled up alongside them as they're working on your business. And so if that's the stat to beat, then you have to be pouring energy and time and investment into getting your people to stay, to close down the LinkedIn job for them because they're happy and they don't want to go anywhere and they aren't looking, right? Like it is so expensive to have to continuously fire or replace people. And you get to save all of that cost. That all but just becomes profit when you just do the little things like showing appreciation, building relationships, creating a family like culture. Like these are the things that ultimately save you a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, we joke that people that we hire sign lifelong contracts with us, and they don't really, but we treat it that way. And we've had
Yeah.
people that have worked with us for 5+ years. The people that were with FreeUp are still with FreeUp, even though we don't own it anymore. So we really believe in that. We only hire people if we see it long term, if we
Mm,
would grab a beer with them and have a good relationship with them, and we want them to be a part of something. We're open and honest. We share our wins, we share our losses, we get them to really buy into to what we're doing.
yeah, absolutely. It's such a people first approach, and I really, really appreciate that about you. Um, Anything else come to mind?
No, I mean, if people want to learn more about how I build businesses to be sellable, they can go to outsourceschool.com/exit. We have an exit playbook that kind of breaks
Love that.
down every single piece of what we do. You can connect with me, Nathan Hirsch, on any social media platform. And this was a lot of fun. We'd love to hear if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, I am echoing everything that you're saying. I'm just like in my head, like cheerleading you right now. I think that I want to just circle back and double click on something you said at the very beginning. One of the best books that I've read around this is called The Exitpreneur's Playbook, I think it's called. And
Yep.
the same core argument, which is that you will build the best business if you build it to sell. Even if you never sell it, you will still get the best business. And the business owners who understand that and they're thinking so far ahead that they know where they're trying to go and they can build the business from day one that's going to get them there, those are the business owners that are eventually able to successfully exit or just enjoy the ride versus the business owners that are like, I just got to like hustle, grind, and then someday. I think that's the key word. That's my trigger word is like someday things will magically be better. Someday I will have profit. Someday I'll be out of the day-to-day weeds. Someday I'll have SOP. Someday I'll have a player team, right? Someday never happens. Someday is the actions that you take today to change your outcome tomorrow. And so I think that's the biggest fallacy that I see in the thinking around exit, which is that someday I'll get my shit together enough to like put the right things in place that I will then be able to exit. And the challenge is that first off, your lived experience of scaling your business is so miserable to get to the someday point that you want to exit early. By the time you're frustrated and burnt out and ready to exit, you look up and you realize that it's now going to be another 6 to 12 months of work just to get the right things in place so that you can. And the business owners that I know faced with that choice, they exit early for a valuation that they're unhappy with. They scale the thing back down, or Nathan, I've literally seen people just like burn the company down. They literally just walk away because they're so frustrated. And to have had in their mind from day one, the same things that will give me a successful exit are the same things that will allow me to enjoy the process of scaling. Like that entire situation could have been avoided.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Valley is a friend of mine. He sent me a copy
Oh,
of that book.
sick.
It's probably behind me right now.
Cool.
It's a good one.
It is a good one.
I'm trying to think of what I would add to that. I mean, you know, the best time to sell your business is when you don't have to.
Right.
When we were running free up, like we were making 100,000 plus profit a month. We were happy. We loved our team. Sure, we were working long hours, but we were also younger and we just loved everything we were doing. So
Yeah.
I think once your business stops growing, terrible time to sell your business. You don't want to sell it when it's plateauing. You want to sell it when it's on the up and up, and that can be hard because when you're on the up and up, you feel like, hey, I want to run this thing forever, and it's not till you plateau that then you're like you want to sell it. So
Right.
sometimes you got to get out of that mentality, and when your business is on the way up, that's when you want to sell it, and you also want to like those deals can fall through. You can't count on the sale. It was the most
Yeah.
stressful 6 months of our life, and every day we're waking up thinking, hey, is this deal going to fall through today? And we stayed focused on growing the business. So even if the business didn't sell, we would have had a great business to go back to. And actually, the month before we closed, that last month of due diligence, that was our best month ever in all 4 years because we stayed focused on growing it. And
I love
that's what you
that.
have to do
I love
as an
that.
entrepreneur. The second you take your foot off the gas or you get in the mindset of, hey, I'm selling this thing, that's a bad place to be.
Yeah, huge. Guys, go give my buddy Nathan a big old follow. Check out his exit playbook. It's absolutely brilliant. And I really, really appreciate you taking the time to like have this conversation and share some of the wisdom.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, talk later.